Are we in a ChatGPT stock market bubble? Do billionaires really pay $0 in tax? And should you be saving more to retire early or spending more in your youth? We're going to find out right now.
Get to the bag.
Welcome back to the Personal Finance Club show. Hey, Jen.
Hey, Jer.
So this show, as all shows, they start with a jingle or like kind of like a theme song. And then between segments, there's a jingle. And it gets stuck in my head, and I don't want to even like try to sing it because it's really like my singing voice.
I'd
would be
actually
embarrassing.
love to hear you sing it.
Money.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Oh my God. It's like really good. Like when I listen to the show, I was like, man, this sounds professional. And there's been buzz on the internet too. Someone commented, love the beginning jingle. Who comments on a jingle? The fact that people are mentioning it is crazy. And someone else said, it sounds like the Suits theme song, which I don't know anything about the Suits theme song, but someone thought it sounded like that. And so you're the producer of this podcast, or maybe we both are, but I think you're the main producer. Where did the jingle come from?
First of all, I love that you say buzz, and by buzz you mean 2 comments.
Hey, for a podcast, it's got like 1,000 downloads an episode. 2 comments is like, we're going viral.
That's viral for us right now.
There's been more to it. There might have been like 3 or 4.
Yeah, maybe out of our 20 comments. I made the theme song with my friend Jackson, also known as Homie, Homi. And yeah, I mean, actually, we had a stand-in theme song because I have some songs about money. And we decided we weren't going to give you our real money maker. So we made a custom theme song for
It's
the
even
Personal
better.
Finance Club show. Yeah, it ended up being
And
a
whose
banger.
voice is that singing on the theme song?
That's me, a.k.a. Esabalu Music, baby.
That's crazy. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, I don't know how you feel about computer programming, but a lot of people who don't understand it they say it just seems like nonsense magic. And that's how I feel about what you do. I'm like, the fact that, I don't know, like, if I like picked up my iPhone and clicked like voice note and said, money, it would sound like just trash. And you make it sound like this is like produced final. I don't even know. Like, is it a microphone? Is it a program? Is it just talent? I have none of these things.
Shout out Jackson. Actually, your singing is very good. But shout out Jackson who produced the track. He's fantastic, and you know it is funny. My best friend is a social worker in North Carolina, and she's like, "How do you write songs? Like, how do you do this?" Because that's what I do. I write a lot of songs, and I've been writing songs since I was like 12, and so you know it's definitely a muscle. But to me, it doesn't seem like that crazy, and especially in a day and age when everybody seems to write songs and have albums out. It doesn't seem like it's that hard, but you know, I take the compliment in stride.
I only listen to AI generated music at this point.
Boo.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. And you went to college for this. What college did you go to?
I went to Berklee College of Music, Berkeley, Berklee.
Not to be confused with University of California in Berkeley. Berkeley. And where's Berkeley?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's in Boston, Massachusetts.
Right. Other coast. And where did you rank it in terms of like music universities in the US?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd say in terms of contemporary music, it's probably number 1. A lot of people go to like jazz school or conservatories. And
Right.
I remember when I was at Berkeley 1,000 years ago, our motto was nothing conservatory about it.
Nice.
Because a lot of places they focus on classical music, they focus on like it's like a conservatory, it's like intensives, whereas Berkeley you can study background singing, you can study audio engineering, you can study film scoring. There's not a lot of schools that even offer those things.
Yeah.
Not on a professional level, but I will say, like any school, a lot of people can get in that have no business getting in. So you really got to work for it. You got to work while you're there.
That's probably true for everything.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure there's people at Harvard that's like, you have no business being here. So not everybody at Berkeley is mega talented, but I think if you want to do music professionally, especially at a contemporary level, then it is a very good school.
That's it. So if you're listening and if you didn't know we're in the company of a celebrity, Jen is actually the voice of the theme song, went to, you know, arguably the top contemporary music university for music in the US, and like does this professionally for a career in addition to her podcast hosting skills.
Yeah, it's giving multifaceted. It's giving what is it? The dash or the slash generation.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, that's true. I like that. That's what they say. You got to be good at two things because then you can like
two
kind of
things. Nowadays, it's a million things.
okay, you have a bunch of slashes. Well, more than one's the important part.
Boom, baby, that's me.
Sweet.
Thanks.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you for the amazing theme song. I feel like totally out of my sorts with it, and I'm just grateful that we have it.
Yay. Well, thanks for letting me do it. He was trying to get stock music, y'all. I said,
I don't know.
hell no, we won't go.
That's why I hired you. Look how well it's going.
I was not gonna I'm not pushy on much, but that one I was gonna be pushy on.
Good.
So
No,
yeah,
I think it's awesome. All right, let's
Thanks.
get into it.
All right, let's do our first segment. Explain it like I'm 5. Now, this one's a little bit different. We got a message from Jay on Instagram that Jeremy forwarded to me. And it's a graphic and it says the entire US economy right now is 7 companies sending $1 trillion back and forth to each other. So tell us, is this true? And what does it mean? Can you explain it like I'm 5? Is that even possible?
So this is the most complicated shit I can think of. And you're asking me to explain to
You
a
sent it
5-year-old.
to me.
Well, I'm talking. You're always like you're the voice of the audience here, Jen, and so you always feel like I'm complaining to you. I'm complaining to people who ask me to explain this stuff simply.
Fair.
I'm doing my best. I'll do my best.
Okay.
And so in the AI world, I'm going to make this much more simple than it really is because I'm trying to explain it like you're 5. But in the AI world, there's a company called OpenAI who makes ChatGPT. And if you haven't heard of ChatGPT, just
You're
skip
living
this
under a
segment.
rock.
Right? Like this won't make any sense. But it's a very popular, AI tool. But OpenAI just kind of does the AI part. They don't actually own computers and warehouses and stuff like that. So there's other companies like Oracle that basically sells compute. And so OpenAI, if they want to make ChatGPT run, they rent basically computer time, server time from a company like Oracle. There's other companies like that too, like Microsoft and Amazon AWS. And then Oracle, they don't actually make computers and computer chips. They actually have to buy their computer chips to like build these warehouses, and they buy computer chips from a company that designs and makes computer chips like NVIDIA. And so there's like these 3 big types of companies. The AI software companies like OpenAI / ChatGPT, the server compute selling data warehousing companies like Oracle and Microsoft, and then the chip designing companies like NVIDIA and AMD. And what's going on right now is there's basically these deals being struck. So for example, NVIDIA invested $100 billion in OpenAI, and then OpenAI turned around and agreed to buy $100 billion worth of chips from NVIDIA. OpenAI had this huge deal to buy compute from Oracle. Oracle then went to buy chips from NVIDIA, and NVIDIA has this money now to invest more in OpenAI. And this graphic is basically like all these crazy arrows, all money going back and forth. And at the core of it, the question is like, is anyone making money right now, or is it just like passing money back and forth? And so here's the analogy. This is where the 5-year-olds wake up. 5-year-olds. This is where it's gonna.
I'm up.
This
Did you
is
say
where
39-year-olds? Did you say 5-year-olds?
Yeah, either way. So imagine there's a town that's never seen donuts before, and this new donut shop comes to town and says, "Hey guys, I'm going to blow your mind. This new breakfast food called a donut is the best. It's sugar, it's flour, you're going to love it." And so they're going to start selling donuts, but they don't have the flour. So then there's a flour company in town who's like, "Guess what? I'm going to buy flour." And then the donut company's like, "Great, we're going to need a lot of flour." And then this kitchen renting companies in town says, "Hey, you're going to need kitchens stocked with ovens." And so then this donut company's like, "All right, I'm going to rent some kitchens. I'm going to buy some flour." And then like these 3 companies are basically all saying, this is the next hot thing. Everyone's going to love these donuts. And so the flour company gives them, money to the donut company. The donut company gives money to the kitchen company. The kitchen company gives money to the flour company. And it's all going back and forth. Right. And then the question that like no one's asking. And so then you ask, how are these companies doing? Donut company says, "We're doing great. We're making tons of donuts. because we got this investment from the flour company and we're making tons of donuts. Kitchen company says, we're doing great. Donut company is renting all of our kitchens from us because they're going to make all these donuts. And a flour company says, we're doing great. Flour sales are booming. Look at all those donuts that are being made. Flour sales are booming. Then here's like the question that like the townspeople are asking, like, and here it is anyone buying donuts or enough donuts? Because these three companies are just like off going to town, like running their own donut empire, but is anyone buying actual donuts? And so to bring it back to the analogy of OpenAI just raised $40 billion on a $300 billion valuation. So it says their company's worth $300 billion. And Sam Altman says they're on track to do $20 billion in sales, top line revenue this year. And they've agreed to purchase 1.4 trillion. This gets crazy. I'm going to bring it back to donuts.
What does that even mean?
I don't even know what it is. It's even more zeros. In infrastructure deals. They're like, okay, we're going to go buy, so basically like this is like back in donut world, this is like the donut company saying, hey, we plan to sell, year's not even over yet, but we think when the year is over, we're going to sell $20,000 worth of donuts. I scaled this down to numbers maybe we can wrap our head around. Right. $20,000. Like, $20,000, not a bad little donut business, like, not a full-time job. And that, by the way, that's not even profit, right? That's just how much they sell. So out of 20,000, what can you actually live on? Very little, if anything, right? So we plan to sell $20,000 worth of donuts this year. And also, we're going to spend $1.4 million on kitchen rentals and flour. That's like a big scale difference, right?
Right,
like they're selling $20,000 donuts, but they've agreed to purchase $1.4 million.
Even when you scale it down, you still got to 1.4 million.
I know. Even the scale down thing is like hard. Like, was that enough? Like, no. It's like, imagine you were making $20,000 a year from your job. Would you be buying $1.4 million worth of anything? And and again, that's not even their profit. That's like not their take home. That's their sales. If their profit is like hugely in the negative, right? So what does this all mean? This is what people want to know. They're like, are we doomed? Is this just a like massive Death Star that's going to crash and all implode under its own weight? There's two schools of thoughts. The pessimists are like, this math isn't penciling out. It's this like making $20,000 a year selling donuts and spending $1.4 million on kitchens and flour. That's going to, once investors stop just fueling this and they stop, the loans and the investors stop funneling all this money to like make this, fiction continue to not, go broke. One of these days the checks are going to bounce, and then what's going to happen to stock prices? And a lot of people say the whole S&P 500 has been basically not doing very well, but for these 7 companies who are doing artificially well. And so when that fiction goes away, the whole economy is going to like crumble. That's the pessimist view. The optimist view is donuts are so darn good and nobody knows it yet. And you just wait because people are going to be buying up donuts like crazy. And
well, which camp are you in?
Well, the reality is, I'm a boglehead. I'm a index fund. I guess I'm a pacifist in the finance world. And my opinion is the truth is this balance between these two camps, right? The people who don't believe it are saying, I'm going to short sell NVIDIA. I'm going to short sell. I'm not going to invest in OpenAI. I'm going to short sell Oracle, whatever it is. Right. And the believers are like, dude, I'm going to be buying up AI stocks now. So in 2040, when it's 100 times bigger than it is today, I get a piece of that. And the current stock prices of that stock and every stock in the market is the balance of those two things. And so we don't know. And what am I going to do about it is, I know exactly what that is. Nothing.
Nothing.
It's the best answer as always, because it's going to shake its way out. This definitely reminds me of the .com bubble back in the late 90s, which I was alive for. I'm 45 now. And so I remember that, where these companies were getting these crazy valuations, crazy investments, crazy, because everyone knew that the internet was a transformative technology and it was going to change everything. And so money has flowed in, but then like the bubble popped in the year 2000. And then for 10 years, the stock market was basically flat. If you invested and at the peak in the end of 1999, you basically 10 years later, you have about the same amount of money after the dot-com crash and the financial crisis of '08, which is what they call the lost decade, which is very bad to invest for 10 years and have the same amount of money. You want your money to go up, right? So that could happen again. Or some people are saying, well, those companies didn't actually they weren't selling $20,000 of donuts. They just had an idea that a donut could exist and they didn't sell any donuts. And so now like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Oracle, like these companies actually have revenue. It's not the same. And, and the answer is, I don't know. And so am I sure there's going to be a dead decade or a lost decade of 10 years in front of us? No, of course not. If I was sure of that, I would do something of it. But no one's sure of any of that. So I'm just going to keep doing the normal thing, which is acquiring more and more shares of my index fund that includes these crazy big companies, includes the small companies, includes the old Amazon, the next Amazon, doing all that. And whether there's a crash or not, in 10, 15, 20 years, it's all going to shake out. I'm going to own a lot of shares and still be doing great.
Wow. Okay. So when it comes to 7 companies, $1 trillion, you said, my name's Bennett and I ain't in it. That's what you said? You said you're not doing nothing about it?
Yes. Bennett?
Is
that what you said? I don't know.
Yeah, you never heard that? My name's Bennett and I ain't in it.
Oh, yeah. That's what I say about everything. I just sleep like a baby.
Nothing to do with you.
Yeah. And the thing is, people get so focused. I mean, I'm kind of going off the rails here, but people get so focused on these macroeconomic things. Oh, what's the future of AI? Like me as like a little Jeremy living in San Diego, I'm going to like make some moves and like, nimbly navigate these, like, it's like a freighter coming through. And you're like paddling in the kayak. You're like, I'm just gonna like nimbly like no, dude, that freighter's gonna do what that freighter's gonna do.
Right.
Like if you want to help your own cause, I'm just now making up metaphors on the fly here. Like focus on your paddling, focus on where you're going. Pay down your debt, buy more shares, buy and hold. The things that you can control. Don't try to nimbly get in and out of the market based on when you think this freighter is going to get here and when it's going to move, because it's not going to work. It's just going to be much more likely to hurt you than help you.
Okay, 5-year-olds, stay the course. You heard the man. Okay, let's move on to our next segment. Money. Can I ask a dumb one?
Yes, you can. You're probably asking a dumb person, but ask away.
You're not dumb either, okay? All right, so this question comes from Janelle. I love this question. We were chatting, Janelle and I think we've talked about a lot about the psychology of money, and I feel like this goes into it as well. So let's read Janelle's question. She says, I'm 50 years old and have 3 children, one in his freshman year in college, a senior in high school, and an 8th grader. They all have 529 accounts. My husband died in December, and I have his life insurance money sitting in a Vanguard Cash Plus money market account. I need to be able to have access to this money, i.e. not put it into a 401k, but would like it to grow over the next 5 to 10 years. I would like to invest $250,000 and don't know where to start. I'm a teacher and can retire in June, collect my pension, and be able to get another job if I need to. What should Janelle do?
Hey, Janelle. So first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss, losing your husband with 3 kids when you're 50. I mean, I'm 45. We're almost the exact same age. I can't imagine. It just feels like you're at the beginning of your life and you've been spending your whole life, looking forward to your whole life, and the next 30 or 40 years ahead of you, and to have that taken away is heartbreaking. I'm very sorry. So the first piece of advice I'd give is it's okay to do nothing for a while. I think the worst thing you could do is have some sort of emotional or knee-jerk or panicked or time pressure reaction in this moment. And it's okay to do nothing. And your money is sitting in a money market fund, which is the perfect place for it. It's not even been a year yet. This is still November. And so in the first year after your husband has passed, doing nothing is a really good thing to do. And it could be another year. 1 year, 2 years, that's a small amount of time. You're not going to miss some huge opportunity. The second piece of advice I'd give is to start learning. When you're ready, it can wait again, because thing 1, do nothing. But when you're ready, start learning. And you never want to invest in something you don't understand. And so, in actually the next episode, because we record these out of order, I talked about a chicken who was plump for the, ripe for the, a fox coming and going after him. You don't want, there are lots of foxes hunting in the financial services industry who would love to take your money and put it into whatever they will make them the most money. And actually, there's that recent article about Rowdy Bush he's a NASCAR driver. I assume NASCAR is the part of the Venn diagram that you and I both have zero clue
Definitely
about.
not.
Literally only learned this man's name because he got involved in the insurance world. But he put $10 million into an insurance policy under the promise that it would start generating $800,000 a year of tax-free income, according to his insurance salesperson. After he put his $10 million in, the next bill came to keep this policy active. And he's like, what do you mean next bill? I thought this is when you start paying me $800,000 a year. The insurance salesman hemmed and hawed. The guy looked at his policy. That $10 million had grown to the stately sum of $2 million or something like that. Or I forget if it's 1.5 or 2 million, but he lost like $8 million on this thing.
Oh my God.
And now he's like going public. And, and the sick thing about that is like the numbers are so big. You're like, but it happens to widows for $100,000 all the time. Their 100,000 becomes 20. And they're like, well, what happened? That happens. Like I got taken because that's the industry. That's the finance industry. And it's not, it doesn't need to be. And so advice 2 is start learning, learn about investing, never invest in something you don't understand. And we have an investing course that's $99. I'm going to give it to you for free, Janelle. So Jen's going to send it to you and I want you to take it. And it's like, there's no secrets in the investing course. It talks about what we talk about on this podcast, on the Instagram, on the YouTube, the basics. What's a stock? What's a bond? What's a mutual fund? What's an index fund? How do you buy and hold these things? What buttons do you click on which websites? Once you do it a little bit, it starts to make sense. And so in this learning process, which is still advice number 2, I want you to take $100 and go open up, the $100 you didn't spend on this in this course, go open up an investment account. Not with us, with Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. These are, big online low fee brokerages. And you can put into a regular old brokerage account. So you said not a 401k, a regular brokerage account, and you can put money in and out whenever you want. There's no age restrictions or anything like that. And just watch it for a while. Don't make your first toe dipping into the investment world the $250,000 one. Make it the $100 one. Because I think once you see like, I heard on the news this NVIDIA bubble is going to crash and like the sky's falling. My 100, which became 105, is now 103. It's actually not that big of a deal. I get it now. It's starting to, the level of volatility I'm becoming more comfortable with. And then you can start to say, okay, let me start doing maybe $10,000 a month for 25 months, 2 years later, then you can get into the market. I think the more slow approach is better. And then 3, I would say, hey, you kind of have a lot going on here. You've got a pension, you've got a lot of money, you've got some kids, you've got 529 accounts. This is beyond the scope of a podcast answer, frankly. And so I would talk to a pro. And when you go and talk to a pro, you need to watch out because a lot of those pros, they're commissioned salespeople. They're just pushing products where it makes them most money, i.e. insurance salesman or financial services salesman. And many of the rest of them only make money by taking your assets under management, and they make money by charging you an annual fee. And that's less bad, but still there's usually this conflict of interest where they're not really interested in giving you advice. They're interested in just keeping all your money under their custody so they can charge you for it every year. My preferred method is find a flat fee advisor. This is someone you can pay by the hour or by the project. Maybe just 2 or 3 hours with a financial advisor could solve all these problems for you. And, now this is the plug. When I used to give that pitch, people would ask, great, how do I find a financial advisor that charges a flat fee? And my answer was, I have no idea. That's why we started Nectarine, which is a marketplace of flat fee financial advisors. And here's the deal, Janelle. If you finish the investing course, because I don't want you to even talk to a financial advisor until you know the basics, because you won't have a nose for the difference between an insurance scam and an altruistic, index fund advisor if you don't know the basics. So if you finish the index fund course, which takes about 8 hours, take it for an hour a night for over the course of 2 months, or an hour a week, over the course of 2 months. Or you can binge it in 3 days if you want, whatever you want. But if you finish it, then we're going to give you a session with a Nectarine advisor too. And because
Ooh.
I want the best for you. I want the best for everyone. I wish I could give it for free to everyone, but we're trying to make a living too.
Mm-hmm.
And so once those are the 3 pieces of advice. Do nothing for a while. Another year would be fine. Start by learning and investing $100 in a regular brokerage account. Go buy yourself $100 worth of VT, the Vanguard Total World Stock Market ETF. See how it does. And 3, talk to a pro, flat fee advisor. You can find them on hellonectarine.com, and we'll give you the investing course and we'll give you the nectarine session.
Wow. That's amazing. I did not know you were going to do that.
Surprise. It's a surprise for
that's
Jen
very
too.
nice
She's like,
of
great,
you.
more work. I have to go.
No, not at all. No, the reason I mentioned the psychology of money before is because Janelle and I were chatting a little bit behind the scenes as I was just asking her about the question a little bit more. And she actually mentioned the dead box. And she said that's something that she wished she had done before her husband passed. Because when you're in the fog of grief, then it's really hard to sort all these things out. So I think that, we answer these money questions and talk about all these terms that we just try to unpack them, but there's like all this psychology underneath just the actual factual act of an opening investment accounts. And there's always context that makes you make really huge decisions that can change your life. So I really wanted to get this question answered, and I really appreciate your answer and your generosity. And I'm sure that Janelle will as well. So thank you for that. And thank you for answering the question.
Of course. Yeah. Wish you the best. It's crazy to lose your spouse that young, and the dead box too. We all think we're going to die when we're 100 or whatever, but that's why you got, I update my dead box every year. I have been for the last 10 years. And if you don't know what the dead box is, we should talk about the dead box and then future
we'll do
episode.
It. Yeah, we'll do it in another episode. Awesome. Okay, let's move on to our next segment. Scroll Patrol.
Scroll Patrol.
Okay, so this is a video that Jeremy hasn't seen that I have sourced from the internet. And he's going to click on it. He's going to react to it. And he's going to tell us what he thinks. So, Jeremy, go ahead and click on that link. Watch this video. And then let's talk about it.
Here we go. I have not seen this before. Clicking play.
How do billionaires not pay taxes? Well, it's because they don't make money. At least not the kind the IRS taxes. Take Mark Zuckerberg, for example. He's the CEO of Meta, a multi-billion-dollar company, but as an employee, he only gets paid a $1 a year salary because his main form of payment is getting shares of Meta, the company he owns. And as long as he doesn't sell his shares, he doesn't have to pay taxes on them because the government only taxes you when you sell something and make a profit. Now, here's the crazier part. Instead of selling the stock and paying taxes, he borrows money using that stock as collateral. So he basically goes to the bank and tells them, hey, I have billions of dollars in Meta stocks, so can you loan me $1 million? And the bank obviously says, sure, take $1 million. We know you're gonna pay it back. And that borrowed money isn't taxed because it's a loan, which is not income. Put simply, billionaires live off of borrowed money.
That's a very well edited video. I don't know this creator. She seems like she did a good job. The essence of what she's saying is mostly true. I do believe that's correct that Mark Zuckerberg has a $1 salary. If you asked him why, he wouldn't say it's because it's some anti-tax paying scheme. He would say, because I have enough cash and I want to strictly tie my financial outcome to the shareholder's financial outcome, which is what business people say when they are looking out for shareholder value. And what she said about loans is maybe partially true, but I think she kind of left out the last step, which is, in her fictitious view of the world there, her example view of the world, he gets paid $1 and has all his stock, and then he borrows money from the stock and then never pays any tax whatsoever. But then the thing about banks giving out $1 million loans is they want to get paid back. And she had mentioned, how does he make those payments? If you borrow $1 million, as anyone knows who's bought a home in Southern California, you got to start paying $10,000 a month or whatever it is, or $20,000 a month. And his $1 salary wouldn't cover that. And so at some point, he has to pay back that loan. I do think that this strategy she's describing, I think it varies. We talked about this with Elon Musk in a recent episode where, people might say Elon Musk never pays any tax. But when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he didn't just borrow $20 billion from a bank and say, I'm good for it. He sold $20 billion worth of his Tesla stock, and he paid tax on that. The government, fully publicly disclosed, paid probably billions in taxes.
Woo.
And so,
He can afford it.
right. And I do think Zuckerberg has used loans to, leverage his stock. But I think if you ask them, they would probably say, it's not because I'm really trying to avoid capital gains tax. It's because I actually want to keep invested. I think I can actually make more money by keeping my money invested and just, use this loan as a collateral for a while until I eventually sell the shares. I'm reacting in real time, so I, don't have time to go look up. But if you go look up Mark Zuckerberg's public transactions, I can almost guarantee he sells stock. That's where he gets his money. So, and he pays tax on it. So, I think that this is kind of one of these like partially true clickbaity videos where, yeah, for sure, a lot of CEOs have small paychecks. Yeah, for sure, they might take loans against their assets, but I think they're also probably paying a lot of tax. Are they paying enough in tax? No, I mean, don't get me started. Because also, by the way, if when Elon Musk paid tax on his shares, he sold $20 billion. Those are long-term capital gains. So he's capped at 20% federal tax.
What?
Whereas if you're a doctor who goes doing surgery every day to, make a living and save people's lives, your income is not capped at 20%. It's capped at, I think, 39.3% or something right now. And so you literally, doctors who like work for a living pay more in taxes, double the rate that billionaires pay. And so, Warren Buffett always talks about this, where his tax rate's actually lower than his secretary's because he's making money, whereas money makes money, and the secretary is making earned income. That's
I did not know that. I didn't know there was a 20% cap.
Yeah, and it's 15%. It's only 20% in like really high income. Actually, it used to be 15%. For really high income, they did 20%. And I think it's like this dirty little secret of rich people, which is you pay lower tax rates on making money than you do on earned income. And, it's always this like left versus right thing. And everyone's like, oh, the left wants higher taxes. I'm like, well, I think, as a baseline, why are people who work for a living paying more taxes than people who make money for a living? By the way, I'm in the latter camp now. Most of my money is making money. Like my salary is pretty low.
And just so as bad as Elon.
Yeah, exactly. Except mine is about 9 zeros at the end of that. But it would hurt me to pay more on capital gains tax because that's how I get a lot of my income, by selling things at a gain now. But still, like I'm like living this like fantasy life of like running podcasts and doing whatever I want. If I went back and worked for a living at a tech company, like writing software, like I've been trained to do, it would suck to go pay a higher tax rate for that, right? So I feel like those could be the same. So yeah, for her, like I think all these things are like mostly true in a vacuum. I don't think it's like completely true in terms of what billionaires are actually doing completely, but the essence of billionaires should be taxed more is probably true. I'd give this one a B-.
Okay.
Yeah, B-.
Wow. Oh, and I love that you said you're living this fantasy life of making podcasts. That's just so sweet. That's just so endearing.
Isn't that what we all want to do, is just go make a podcast and not have like any sort of real job?
That is lovely. Okay, let's get into our last segment.
Money.
Jeremy had time today.
I had time.
Okay, you had time, and we're going to get into it. I pulled a graphic from our Instagram. It's called Would You Rather? And it says spend 95% of your paycheck and invest 5%, or spend 70% of your paycheck and invest 30%. And on the left side, you have an old man by a computer working for 52 years. On the right side, this person is rock climbing and snowboarding.
So
and
fun.
For 24 years.
So fun. Those emojis.
Those are really great emojis, actually, honestly, when you zoom in. And then it says you currently have this choice. So I'll read the comment and then you can respond to it. This person says, no guarantee you will live that long. As someone who was a hospice therapist and had many young patients, I say mix both. Live and enjoy the fruits of your labor while you are healthy, and be able to invest within means while also saving for the future, but the future isn't promised for anyone on earth.
Yeah, I mean, in short, I 100% agree. That post they were responding to was basically just math saying, hey, if you invest 5% of your paycheck, your career will span 52 years. If you invest 30% of your paycheck, you will be able to retire with the same amount of money after 24 years. And I think a lot of people, they just default to, well, I'm going to spend down all the money in my checking account and then wait till next paycheck and repeat. And then 52 years later, be like, oh gosh, I hope I can retire. And so if you're a little bit more purposeful about that, you can maybe retire earlier. I think like kind of the subtext was, if you only spend 70% of your paycheck instead of spending 95% of your paycheck, then you won't be having any fun for 24 years. And,
Right.
to that, I say, I hope not. I think so many people just automatically equate spending and happiness. And if you spend 10% more, you're 10% happier, but it's just totally not true. And, look at someone who makes 100,000 versus someone who makes 80,000. Is 100,000 earner 20% happier? If they spent 80,000 instead of 100, would they become sadder? Like, no, of course not. And so I think you just need to be more purposeful about how you live your life and go, I've been talking to my wife about this. We've been having a little bit of a fight about money because I have been spending too much. And I spent
On what?
I spent $59. We just had our year
On
anniversary.
coffee.
No, not that bad. We went to a local hotel to have like a little staycation for our 1 year anniversary. And just, I don't know, because I've been spending a lot lately and I've like lost some of my frugal roots. When I was booking this hotel, it's like, do you want to add parking for $59? And I was like, yeah, probably. It's probably hard to park on there, whatever. And then like I got there and there's like so many street spots, like, maybe closer to our room than where the parking lot was like located on the hotel premises. And I just wasted that money. I was like, oh, I feel like such a waste. And like, was I happier because I parked? No, I was probably less happy. I think I kind of like parking in the street and I like walking outside instead of like going down into like a parking garage, whatever it is. But, but to this person's point, I agree. And you want to make sure you're taking advantage of those real opportunities to convert money to happiness, which I think are much less often than you realize. I think sometimes people think, oh, if I get the valet parking, I'm going to be happier. But no, you're not. Like, valet parking doesn't make anyone happier. So don't waste your money on stuff that doesn't make you happy. But if you actually get a real opportunity in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, make sure you do. As Chanel, our previous question asker, learned, like, life and promise. If you're 50 and, I don't know how old her husband was, but if you're 50 and you kick the bucket, those savings won't have done you anything. So you really do want to do both. But I think you can, with that mindset and being purposeful, spend purposefully, live your like fullest life you can in your younger years. And then you're not going to be an 80-year-old man still working at a laptop. You might be like a 50-year-old man. And if you're not Janelle's husband, then you're going to hopefully have a lot more years. I know. I feel like I've used Janelle's name too much. Sorry, Janelle.
It's okay. All right. So we don't rate the comments. I keep thinking that we rate the comments, but we don't. Okay. So thank you, anonymous commenter on our Instagram. And I think before we go, we're going to read a comment on our Spotify. It's not a review.
Yeah. Comment and reviews. We love it all. All press is good press. Send your hate comments this way.
I hate comments. This is on our episode about compound growth. Grace, she said, I love the episode. I could listen to you two all day. And then some weird guy named Jeremy Schneider commented, thank you, Grace.
But she said she loves a long episode, right?
Oh, I missed that part. I mean, honestly, it's funny because when we were recording and I was thinking, this episode's flying by. We're at 35 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'm glad. To me, it feels like they're not that long, but apparently we just be talking. But
yeah.
Grace loves the long episodes. Grace, they're going to keep coming. So
yeah,
buckle up.
That's really nice to hear, because when I originally envisioned this podcast, I was like, I really want it to be about 20 minutes and like really punchy. And I still want it to be punchier, but they've definitely been drawing out. So if you like listening to long episodes, when I listen to myself, it does seem like, one commute home and back, and there's no more Personal Finance Club for a week. And so, maybe we do need to make them longer.
I mean, I'm having a good time, so let's keep it going. Grace loves it,
Thanks, Grace. That's really
Thanks,
nice.
Grace. Leave comments, subscribe, leave comments on our iTunes, like on podcast app, because that's going to push us to the top. Then maybe we'll make the list, like top 10 podcasts in the world.
Exactly. Get us up there.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have today for you on the Personal Finance Club show. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
And don't forget the 2 rules of Personal Finance Club. Rule number 1, live below your means. And rule number 2, invest early and often.
The Personal Finance Club show is produced by Jeremy Schneider and Jen Mundia. Music by Esabalu and Homie. Send your questions to podcast@personalfinanceclub.com. The Personal Finance Club show is co-hosted by Jeremy Schneider, who is a co-owner of Nectarine, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The views expressed on this show are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Nectarine. Please refer to hellonectarine.com for all relevant disclosures. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as personalized investment advice or a solicitation to buy or sell any security. Listeners should consult their own financial, legal, or tax professionals for advice specific to their situation.